Today, the U.S. Secretary of Agriculture met with Governor Abbott to announce drastic measures against an invasive species threatening Texas cattle. But this isn't the first time the nation has fought such a bizarre battle. For 3 decades, the U.S. waged one of the strangest wars in history, releasing millions of killer flies against colonies of fire ants. Billions of dollars were spent. The skies buzzed with helicopters and drones, while secret labs engineered armies of decapitating flies, insects designed to turn ants into zombies. In southern Texas, a facility was built to unleash up to 12 million sterile flies at a time. The mission seemed simple: eradicate the fire ants that had invaded the United States. But the results were anything but simple. The flies behaved exactly as intended, but the ants responded with a shocking twist that rewrote everything scientists thought they knew about fighting nature itself. This story didn't begin today. It traces back to the 1930s, when cargo ships from South America carried an enemy no one expected. Hidden among the goods were tiny warriors preparing for the greatest biological invasion America had ever seen. Fire ants arrived in the United States as invisible stowaways, hidden aboard ships docking in Mobile, Alabama. No alarms were raised. No one noticed. Yet that silent landing would forever change the South. And when they touched American soil, they found paradise. The climate was perfect, food was everywhere, and most importantly, no natural enemies. It was as if the land had been prepared just for them. In South America, their homeland, things were different. Birds, insects, and predators kept their numbers in check. But in the U.S., nothing stood in their way. For the first time, they could multiply without limits. These were not harmless picnic ants. They were warriors, soldiers in vast armies, striking in coordinated swarms. Their stings burned like fiery needles, piercing flesh. That's why they were called fire ants. Within years, they spread like wildfire. Backyards, farms, golf courses, parks, nothing was safe. Their colonies were hidden underground cities, home to hundreds of thousands of workers ready to defend at all costs. But the nightmare escalated when cattle began dying. Newborn calves were blinded and overwhelmed by thousands of stings. Farmers watched helplessly as fortunes vanished. This was no longer a nuisance. It was war. The U.S. government tried poisons, traps, even fire. Nothing worked. So scientists went south, to the ants' homeland, searching for answers. What they found was stranger than fiction: decapitating flies. For millions of years, these parasites had perfected their gruesome art. A female fly would dive onto an unsuspecting fire ant, injecting an egg in less than a second. The ant lived on, working as usual, unaware of its fate. Days later, the larva hatched, crawled into the ant's head, and devoured its brain. With a sickening snap, the head detached, and from within, a new fly emerged. And the most chilling detail? These flies ignored every other species. Their built-in radar targeted only fire ants. America had found its weapon. In Gainesville, Florida, a secret lab rose. From the outside, ordinary. Inside, a battlefield. Thousands of flies bred daily in climate-controlled chambers, with fire ants serving as unwilling hosts. The flies were packed into tubes, carried in coolers, and released into raging colonies. Scientists kicked apart nests, chaos erupted, and the air filled with alarm pheromones. To the flies, it was a dinner bell. Released into the frenzy, they swooped down like fighter jets, infecting hundreds of ants within seconds. The effect was immediate. Fearless hunters turned cautious. Colonies froze. Ants abandoned food and fled at the faintest buzz. The biological war was working. But nature is never simple. The ants adapted. They changed foraging times, shifted behaviors, and multiplied faster than science could keep up. While millions of flies were released, millions of queens soared into the skies, founding new colonies that grew in months. It was a race science could never win. After 30 years, the shocking truth hit. The fire ants had won. Despite flies, drones, helicopters, poisons, and even sniffer dogs, they now controlled 346 million acres. More land than before the war began. And here's the question. If even the strangest weapons of science couldn't stop them, What does this reveal about the raw, unstoppable force of nature? If this revelation has surprised you, leave a like so more people can discover this story along with you. But don't leave yet, because the greatest lesson isn't just that the ants survived. It's that they mastered the one weapon science could never match: adaptation. They turned America into their permanent home, proving that sometimes the strongest defense isn't technology, but the simple ability to endure. It comes down to persistence, the sheer survival of a species that reproduces faster than its enemy can kill. That's how fire ants, despite being hunted by parasitic flies designed to destroy them, kept expanding their territory. Today, this biological war has no winners, but it has no end either. What was meant to be a scientific triumph turned into a permanent stalemate, where both ants and flies are now part of the American ecosystem. This story raises a bigger question. How far should we go in using nature itself to fight invasive species? Is unleashing natural predators a clever solution, or just the beginning of new imbalances we cannot control? And you? Have you ever come across fire ants in your area? What do you think about using nature to fight invaders? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if this already sparked your curiosity, stay tuned. In the next video, we'll dive into another surprising case of how tiny creatures can reshape entire ecosystems.